Hello, gems. Welcome to an unboxing of Tarocchi Marsigliesi, Fratelli, Recchi. That's my best guess. And Minchiate al Cigno. So I'm going to be unboxing and flipping through both of these decks. So this is actually the second order that I made of these same exact decks. I ordered the first one and I really did not want to open it because these are a limited edition. There's only 3,999 copies. So I did want to just save them and preserve them. But then they actually were pretty popular and people were kind of upset that I did not open them up. So I waited until these both came in and I selected the decks that were a little bit more beat up. And those are the ones that I'm opening. So unfortunately, both boxes from each set that I ordered were banged up. So let me see. This one, I'm not too sure. This one was the crushed corner here. Yeah, and I think this one was more like this one had like a little tear in the wrapper or something. So I decided to go with this one. Anyway, I purchased these from magic.com. These are Lo Scarabeo decks. These are part of the Anima Antiqua Series. So this looks really pretty. It looks a lot better actually when it comes out of the packaging. So we'll start with this one. These are the sides. So let's open this one first. Okay, so just got a very plain box top. Okay, so it says the images of this deck of tarot were digitized from public domain sources and/or private collections. They were then optimized to reproduce the appearance and colors as faithful to the originals as possible during the printing process. In order to preserve the original feeling of these ancient images, the cards have not been treated with chemical varnish, and as a result, they might not be suitable for shuffling. So these will have to be handled very carefully. So this is my little numbered print. Ooh, I love it. Very special. Okay. And then it has a little book. It's a little bit better than the typical white book. I was not sure what to expect. And some of these boxes that open from the top like this, Lo Scarabeo will have a little bit of a better book. It's kind of like something you would get in an oracle deck. But with this one, let's see. So this is kind of neat. We've got like this little flap here. It's kind of like a book cover or a bookend, or I'm not too sure what you call that. But it makes it look like a book with a cover. A jacket. Okay, so we have our table of contents and multiple languages. So the term minchiate in the Italian language would be seen as a vulgar expression similar to bullshit, providing a negative judgment on something with connotations of stupidity, senseless, or insignificance. That's interesting. I thought it was about like miniature. In common usage, the word minchia, is actually a colloquial term for a penis. Okay. In the term of playing cards, however, the term minchiate refers to a card game and the deck used to play it. A variant of the tarot deck expanded to 97 cards. Historians, however, believe that there is a connection between the two meanings. The generally accepted hypothesis is that those who had attributed this term to the game had done so with the intention of belittling it. Interesting. One of the first references to minchiate appeared in a short poem written in around 1510 by the poet from Pesaro, Venturini, in which he summarized the meaning of the term as something foolish. The same poet pointed out the connection between minchiate and the game of tarot. In the same period, the term tarot sometimes acquired a similar derogatory meaning. Evidence of this can be seen in the words written in 1525 by the Roman poet Francesco Berni. I'm not going to stumble through this Italian. The 16th century Italian may be translated like this. He really is tarot-faced, one who likes that game with its connotations of stupid, silly, idiotic, worthy of being in the company of bakers, cobblers, and down-and-outs, playing tarot, trumps, or minchiate. Ooh, so this attitude towards tarot cards seems strange and was perhaps due to a kind of prejudice against the poorer social classes. The game of tarot was gaining popularity among them after being the prerogative of the rich and noble in the previous century. The rules of both games, tarot and minchiate, were complicated. They required attention and strategy, which is why these cards were not subject to the legal restrictions of other gambling games based purely on good or bad luck. Wow, so is this all history? Oh, so there's just a little bit more. Oh, you can go jump down to the timestamp if you want to jump ahead. The Minchiate game, and therefore its deck, developed from the second half of the 15th century. Through the elaboration of a normal tarot deck, the High Priestess was eliminated, while prudence, the 3 theological virtues, the 4 elements, and the 12 signs of the zodiac were added. And that is how the deck reached 97 cards. This game spread from its birthplace, Florence, to Rome, Bologna, and even to German countries, thanks to the traffic and trade associated with the ties of kinship between Medici and the imperial family. The commercial success of the Minchiate, originally produced only in Florence, led card makers in Bologna to start manufacturing them. This Minchiate deck comes precisely from Bologna. Using a wood block process, and after drying it was painted with stencils by young boys, as was customary in the past when manual work was an integral part of every craft production. To give greater strength to the cards, other more experienced boys glued a wood block printed sheet on the back of each and turned a small flap on the front. Okay, on the back of the deck, the Cigno mark is clearly visible and identifies both the manufacturer and the period of production. The Cigno workshop actually belonged to Pellegrino Torri, a card maker operating in Bologna between 1759 and 1797. Further confirmation is provided by the iconography of the deck. In fact, if you look carefully at the angel card, you can see the outline of the buildings and famous towers of Bologna. So we will have to go into the deck and find that angel card. But let's do a flip through. I have been really looking forward to opening these decks. They have been driving me crazy, just sitting there staring at me. I'm really excited to open these. Oh, that's my dog. She's excited too. She woos when she gets excited. Okay. So let's take a look at the cutting before we do anything. So I am very impressed by the cutting. The cutting looks really good. Right off the bat, I do want to point out that the deck is slightly curved to the side like this. I don't know if that's showing up. Not a big deal, but it does do that. So I'm wondering if this has card meanings in here, or if it's just the translation of yeah, it's just translations, looks like. And there's, okay. So we have extra cards, so I'm not too sure. So this is the Fool, it looks like. And there is like a little bit of a lamination or something to them. And they do have a gloss and a sheen, but the sheen seems more pronounced on the face of the card than it does the back. Here we have the Magician. And then I know it said something about the High Priestess. Let's see. Okay, so it says High Priestess was eliminated, while Prudence, the 3 theological virtues, the 4 elements, and the 12 signs of the zodiac were added. So I guess this is Prudence, but I would probably still read this as the High Priestess. Maybe, I don't know. Because here we have what would be the Empress, and now it's, I have no idea what that is. Interesting. That one would be the Emperor, normally. Pretty sure that's the Wheel of Fortune. I'm pretty sure that's the Chariot. Pretty sure that's the Hanged Man. And Death. The Devil. I'm guessing that's the Tower because we got the lightning there. And it kind of looks like she's being pushed. This person's being pushed from the tower. Some of these I really don't know what they are. This is definitely not a beginner's deck. I would say this would be probably like an advanced deck, or if you're just into collecting. Like maybe these ones like you might be able to read intuitively. To me that looks like Leo, Taurus, you know, stuff like that. I don't know. I might have to go through and actually like make up my own meaning system for this deck. Because now that I have 2 copies of each, one for decoration and just for preserving it, and the other, I always wanted to use this for readings. But I was hoping that it would come with an actual guidebook, which it does not. Here we go. Here's some that I can identify. Ace of Cups. Or I'm not even sure if they would be called cups. Would they be called chalices, or I'm not too sure. I can call them cups if I want to. Okay, let's check out these court cards. Let's see how those come. And how many are included, because... Okay. So just guessing, I would say princess, prince, queen, and king. This is really interesting. Like, what is that? Is that like a body of a lion? I'm not too sure. Really interesting. Okay. And the coins. So I do read Marseille decks. So I guess my biggest struggle would be figuring out the major arcana. I do love the imperfections in the printing due to the age, the reproductions. I think it gives the deck a lot of character, a lot of personality. Yeah, they are. It looks like body of a lion or something on these prints, or whatever you want to call them. So these would be batons. I don't think they called them clubs back then. I think they were batons. Or, I think my other deck, I think it calls them bastoni or something like that. Batons or bastoni. So the other ones, they kind of look like a princess to me. Let me go back to this, to the coins. Let me see. Yeah, this one's in a dress. So that one looks like a princess. But here, this one, that looks like a male figure to me. But some of the princesses, they did fight. Like I have the Carriel Visconti, that one, I know the princesses from the Sforza families, they did fight. So I'm really interested to see if the batons and even in the swords, if those, the one before the knight, before the prince, if that is based on a female character or a male. I wonder if I can find anything like that online. Oh my gosh, and I love the inclusion of the unicorn. I am a firm believer that unicorns once roamed the earth. Just because we don't have them nowadays does not mean that they were not extinct due to hunting or whatever. I do believe that they were here, and I love the inclusion in this deck. Oops. I'm getting so excited. I'm trying to go to the next card and see what it looks like. Even though it's a pip deck, I still get really excited. I love these old cards. They really make me excited. I just wish there was a guidebook too, so I could have a better understanding of them. So yeah, this is another one. I'm thinking it looks very male, but I can't be certain. Oh, okay, so this is just like a little protector for the deck. I guess I'll leave this here. I think that's getting kind of washed out from my light. Okay, we'll leave that here then. Hoping that'll focus. Okay, let's see. Okay, let's get into this other deck. This is one with a really long name. Okay, so let's try it again. Tarocchi Marsigliesi, Fratelli, Recchi. Again, it looks much better with that shrink wrap off. All right, let's see what it looks like when we open it. Again, the same simple inside of the box. Let's see what number we are. Looks like 2212. This says basically the same thing. Ooh, this is really pretty. I like this print. It's the same disappointing little book. I do like the history aspect of it, but I do wish that there were meanings. I would have paid more for meanings. Okay, so it's going to tell us about Fratelli Recchi. The so-called Tarot of Marseille originated from the elaboration of the 17th century Persian tarot and spread rapidly throughout Western Europe. From the second half of the 18th century, This included Italy, where they were undoubtedly used for playing card games and not for fortune telling. With just a few exceptions, players welcomed this model from France with open arms because good quality French decks were cheaper. In a few years, the extraordinary success of this iconographic model forced local producers throughout Europe to toe the line and print Tarot of Marseille's decks, making only slight changes from those that came from France. The deck signed by the Fratelli Recchi is no exception and fits into this historical context. To all intents and purposes, it is a Tarot of Marseille, but it does not come from France. But exactly where it came from is a bit of a mystery. Interesting. There is some evidence of a Francesco Recchi running a card manufacturing business in Turin from at least 1819 onwards. At the same time, there was a card maker operating in Oneglia bearing the same surname. His name was Giacomo Recchi. Oneglia is a small seaside town in western Liguria, not far from the border with France. In 1576, it became part of the estate of the Dukes of Savory and remained so until 1792, when the revolutionary government of the French Republic decided to expand its borders towards Italy and conquered Oneglia after a heavy bombardment. With the restoration of 1815, Oneglia was returned to the Savoy family, thus becoming part of the newly established Kingdom of Sardinia and Piedmont. In this situation, the town's industries flourished again, including the factories making playing cards. In the Gazzetta Piedmontese of 18 October 1823, it says that, we're not going to read all that, we're going to just read the translation part. The warehouse of cards and tarots of the factory of Sig Recchi from Oneglia has been moved from the Caramanja House in the Arsenal District to the Salt and Tobacco Excise House number 46. Another page in the same Gazzetta mentions that Giacomo Recchi also had a card and tarot warehouse in Turin in the Salt and Tobacco Excise House at the Church of the Holy Trinity. We also know that in around 1820, Giacomo Recchi had produced a refined and innovative tarot very different from the Tarot of Marseille, engraved by Giacomo Argenenti from Turin, whose business ran from 1817 to 1852, according to records. Based on this information, tarot historians have put forward two suggestions. At the moment, however, there is no documentary evidence to give more weight to one idea over the other. The first conjecture is that the deck signed by the Fratelli Recchi was produced in around 1830 by the sons of Francesco Recchi or those of Giacomo Recchi. A second possibility is that Francesco and Giacomo Recchi were brothers and that they had printed playing cards and tarot decks both in Oneglia and in Turin. This type of dilemma that is perhaps likely to remain unsolved is an example of what actually happens in historical research, especially when the topic is playing cards and tarot. Constant attention must be paid to all details, including facts about family trees, and all information must be backed up by carefully collected evidence, keeping various possibilities open. I think that's the end. Yeah, and I'm just going to double check, but I think this is all just the same thing in other languages. That's so disappointing because these two decks are so interesting, and I would love to understand them a little bit better. But maybe that's part of the mystery. Maybe that's part of the fun, being able to come up with my own meanings for these, the ones that I don't understand, the ones that I'm not sure of. So I'll have to go through with my, I don't want to say my Rider-Waite, but I am going to go with my Rider-Waite and then probably my Carrie Yale Visconti and see if I can figure out meanings, meanings for the cards that I'm not sure of. So I think this is a regular tarot deck. Let's just take a look at the backs. That's really lovely. Beautiful. I think this is a regular one with no extra cards. 78 cards. 78 cards. So this is a regular tarot deck. So let's see. I guess we'll start here. This looks like the Fool. We even got the little, it looks like the little dog biting his butt. The Magician. I like how it has a little bit of the name here, but I think that is in French. I don't read French. Or Italian, but at La Papess, I think that's like the Popess, so that would be like the High Priestess. That would be the Empress. The Emperor. So this one I might be able to make a little bit more sense of. The Pope. The quality on these cards is a lot worse than on this deck over here. The Lovers. The Chariot. Justice. Oh, you know what? Let me check and see. I know there's extra cards, so. But I just want to see if. Oh, now I didn't see these before. I'm not flipping you off. There are little scales here. So maybe I can use this deck too to try to make sense of this one. But then here, see, we go into some differences. Here we have the Hermit. It's really hard to tell, but I guess that's his little lantern right here. The Wheel of Fortune. And the numbers are just going to be completely different, so you can't rely on the numbering system. So here this one is X for 10, and here this one is 9. Force, which is strength. The Hanged Man. Death. Temperance. Yeah, these cards are not going to be able, I'm not going to be able to line them up card for card. This is the Devil. The Tower. The Star. The Moon. The Sun. Judgment. And the World. All right, so I will be able to use this deck right away. Happy to see that. So here we have, go into the pips. So this will be the Ace of Cups. That's really interesting. This looks like it could be 3 cups, but that's actually 2. That's not a 3rd cup. That's just a decoration. So that's 2 cups. And this one is the 3 of cups. So you can see some of these look a lot better than other cards. At least you don't look so different, but some of them are really faded and worn, and others look pretty good considering how old they are. I'm just so in love with the backs. I really love it. I'm a sucker for card backs. I mean, this is not like the, like, obviously the colors are all over the place. It's really faded, but I love the simplicity and the character that this deck has. I don't know what you guys think about this style of deck, but I love it. Please leave a comment below. Let me know what your opinions of both decks are. If you have a favorite, if you strongly dislike one, I'd love to know that too, and why. One thing I do want to point out is that both decks feel really good in the hands. They're very smooth, and they have, like, I don't want to say buttery. It's not like the way I describe my buttery decks, but I don't know. They feel really good to touch. They make you want to rub your finger across it. So this is supposed to be the Queen of Pentacles, and this is the King. I don't know if it's just old or if it's a shadow, but it kind of looks like this Queen has a beard. I don't know if that's just me or not. Let me know what you think. Do we have a bearded lady? Yeah, I don't know. It's an old deck. I know it was common to poke fun at the ruling class, so that might have been like a slight or a dig at the nobility, the royal family, but it could just be old. I don't know. Okay, so here we have the page. Let's check this one. And the Knight. Let's see what this one looks like. Let's compare it with the other one. What do you think? Does this one look like it has a beard? I kind of think it does. It kind of looks like it's intentionally put there. Unless that's just like the outline of the face. But here, the outline is just like a line. So that's just really interesting. So this is what I was talking about. Like these swords, they look very worn and weathered. So for me, I don't know about for you, but for me, this is really cool and exciting to see the inspiration behind the Marseille decks. I'm looking at, I see the colors on the familiar, well-known decks, and this is just really cool and exciting for me. Okay, so I forgot to do that on this one, so let's take a look at the cutting really quick. The cutting on both of these decks looks amazing. There's no jagged corners. There's no bent cards. The cards look like they're in great shape. I just opened up a deck and one of the, a bunch of the gilding on one, a bunch of the gilding was damaged, and then there was, the face of the card had a border. And so a bunch of cards had, border damage, as well as one of the cards having a lamination issue where the little band that protects many of the decks, it was digging into the card and it was causing a delamination issue. So that was really disappointing on a brand new deck. So looking at these, this is like redemption. Like, oh, oh yes, I opened up 2 decks and they're perfect, minus usable guidebooks. But this deck is going to have to be a project for me. I'm going to have to come up with my own meanings. I'm going to have to make my own guidebook. I'll probably do that in a PDF. Yeah, so that way I can access it and print it anytime I need to. But that is the El Cigno deck. Really cool. It's actually in much better picture quality than the Fratelli Recchi deck, but it's going to be difficult to use because I don't know what the majority of these cards are. There's extras added in, and it's difficult to know for sure what is what. Do I regret purchasing it? Absolutely not, because for me, this is like, well, this is, it's owning a piece of tarot history, and for me, that just gets me really excited. And this deck, even though it's, even though the quality of the images is not as beautiful as some of the decks that are mass produced today, you can find any number of decks within a 2-second search that are going to be more aesthetically pleasing to the eye. But for me, I'm really excited about this deck. And I love both of these backs, so that's really cool. And I do love that they're numbered limited edition, so their value will only increase in time, and I'm happy that I have also 2 decks that are unopened, just for my own preservation purposes. So I will be doing a reading very soon with this deck. I'll be posting that on YouTube pretty soon. Let's see. Let me just put this in here. So this is, I guess we'll do it this way. I do wish I had an option for a guidebook. I would have even paid extra to have a guidebook, or even if that was like a standalone thing, like, oh, look, you can add this onto your order. You can purchase this separate guidebook. I would have purchased it, especially for this one. Probably, I really don't feel like I need it for this one because I am comfortable reading Marseille, but for this one, I definitely would have purchased that. And then for this one, I probably would have purchased it anyways because I just feel like it goes with like the collector deck, in my opinion. But the cardstock is great. The boxes are sturdy, and I do like the little slip of color right here, this little slit. I like how it's color coordinated with the deck. Blue. This one's like a sagey army green. So yeah, I don't know if these decks are still available, but if they are, I do recommend you purchase them if you intend to use them for readings, and you have to choose only one deck or the other. I would probably suggest to go with this deck, since this one does not have the guidebook, unless you're fairly comfortable coming up with your own meanings for this. Or perhaps you maybe know of somewhere to get a book with the meanings for this, then please leave a link below in the, or no, I can't take links, but you could type it down in the comments, just like the store name of where they sell a guidebook for this deck, and I would definitely purchase that. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and let me know which decks you would like to see me unbox next. Bye.